Anton? Anton?
Okay, so let's continue. This is gonna be the last part of Polina's route, and basically the last part of episode 3. My mom only managed to get through to me on her third attempt.
Антон, тебя к телефону. Девушка какая-то.
Okay, yeah, Polina is calling. I sobered up in an instant and rushed to the hallway.
Не споткнись, смотри.
Watch your step. Okay, in Alyssa's route, he was expecting Romka and Biasha to visit him, and that's how he actually got out. I wonder how it's gonna be different. I grabbed the phone, pressed it into my chest, looking at my mom. She shrugged and went into the room, gathering the toys thrown around by Olya, and as she went.
Алло?
У твоей мамы такой молодой голос.
Yeah.
А, ну да, она сама молодая.
Не мешаю?
Нет, что ты.
If only she knew how costly this conversation could be for me, what risks I took on just answering this call. There were a pen and a shabby notepad lying on the nightstand. I picked them up and started moving the tip of the pen across paper, producing chaotic doodles that always ended up turning into hearts.
Я прочла твои ответы.
Someone is in love.
А тебе действительно Кармен нравится?
Мне, если по правде, русский рок больше нравится.
I prefer Russian metal.
Но я почему-то постеснялся это написать.
А хочешь, Антоша, и я честной буду?
Конечно.
My pen drew an outline. My pen drew an outline of a girl's face, her eyes, her long eyelashes. Polina spoke in a hushed voice, probably to keep her grandpa from hearing.
Мне здесь ужасно тоскливо.
Дома?
В поселке. Здесь никогда и ничего не происходит. А если происходит, то всякая гадость. И дело даже не в пропавших детях. Здесь музыки мало.
Но у тебя же кассеты есть.
Я не про записи. Я про... ну, голос этого места. Но он не мелодичный. Все шуршит, как патефонная игла. Скрипит, воет изредка. Тут неуютно. Тесно очень. Не знаю, как объяснить тебе.
Well, pretty much it actually makes sense, so... My pen's tip drafted a house surrounded by tall trees.
Кажется, я тебя понимаю.
Same.
Моя сестренка говорит, что чувствует себя заточенной в темницу.
Вот и я. Я очень люблю дедушку. И бросить его боюсь. Но порой так хочется убежать. Далеко-далеко.
Into the forest, I thought, half-heartedly, to run under the falling snowflakes that make your fur white, and the branches that hide you from prying eyes.
Я, когда рисую, будто путешествую.
У меня так же со скрипкой. Убегаю по смычку в небо.
Yeah, this one. I realized I was drawing a butterfly knife. I crossed it over. Thinking of Romka ruined my mood. Before I could reply, Olya descended the stairs. Oh, okay, that is different. Last time Olya was in the room, she did not come to us. She was holding some book in a pink cover, Encyclopedia of a Young Lady.
Ты долго еще?
Will you take long? I covered the handset with my hand.
Я разговариваю.
I'm in the middle of a conversation.
Что случилось?
What happened?
Почитай мне, пожалуйста.
Read me a bedtime story, please.
Мама уснула.
Mom fell asleep.
Иди к себе, я сейчас.
Go to your room. I'll be there in a minute.
Только быстрее, ладно?
Just be quick, okay?
Ладно.
Fine. My last reply sounded excessively annoyed. I sighed, watching my sister running up the stairs.
Прости, надо бежать.
Sorry, I need to run.
Мне тоже.
Me too.
Спасибо, что выслушал.
Thank you for lending an ear. My ear vibrated from the buzzing sounds. I dragged my feet to the second floor, thinking of the girl I shouldn't talk to if I don't want to die from a knife wound. I wish I could tell Dad, ask for his manly advice. But he doesn't show up home until late at night because of his new job. My parents don't have time for me, to put it lightly.
Ну, где твоя книжка?
Well, where's your book? I stuttered. The kid's room was empty.
Оль?
Okay, so... Olya? She probably snuck into my room. I started walking down the corridor. The room was infested with shadows. The blinds were wavering like there was someone hiding behind them. I smiled, sneaked over the window and threw open the curtain. And it's not Olya, right? It's...
Попалась!
Gotcha! There was nobody behind the cloth. The window was a TV screen showing winter scenery. Is this Olya and... Is this Alisa? The lamppost, the field, and a couple of walking figures in the middle of it. Alisa and Olya. Okay, I actually love the way they lured them out. And I think we're gonna learn some stuff. I gasped and pressed my fist to my mouth, sinking my teeth into it. Alisa was leading Olya into the thicket. I needed less than a minute to hurriedly dress and rush out of the house. My heart was beating like a firing machine gun. The wind carried the cold, resinous smell of coniferous trees from the forest. Freezing air crackled somewhere in the field. Two shadows loomed in front of the gate. I could only recognize them as my sister and the fox girl because of their height. Okay, so... let's see if it's gonna be actually not them. I ran toward the fence, listening to the howling wind and the squeaking snow. One of the figures moved and slowly glided toward the thicket like an ice skater. I slowed down and touched my glasses, trying in vain to adjust my vision to the surrounding darkness. Worry landed on my shoulders like a weightless snowflake. A snake woke up in my belly and started writhing. I felt nauseous. I thought about my home, the flimsy fortress I'd left behind. I finally caught up to my sister, dressed only in a coat.
Оля!
Ты видел лисичку?
Have you seen the Foxy?
Оля, зачем ты вышла на улицу?
Olya, why did you go outside?
Если мама узнает...
If Mom finds out... My sister froze in place, facing the taiga. She was in a hand's reach, and I put my numb wrist on her shoulder for some reason. Probably to make sure it wasn't a dream. Yeah, freaking knew it. So basically it's gonna be more or less the same now. A pointy beak was directed at me, strewn with feathers that formed an owl face. Something wearing a bird mask was staring at me. Wait, she won't. The voice sounded exactly like Olya's, but there was somebody else hiding behind the feathers and the curtain. I sprinted away as if I got whipped. The masked creature only pretended to be Olya, just to lure me out. I was running like crazy, drowning in snow. The house in front of me was rapidly growing. The yellow light in its windows granted me hope. My mom and sister are there, my salvation. I couldn't hear anything from behind me, as if nobody was chasing me. Maybe it's because the owls can fly? I was already climbing the porch when I noticed another figure. From the soot-black shadow of my house, a scruffy wolf cub crawled out and stood in my way. Its movements were jerky, chaotic, as if it was performing some terrifying dance, and convulsing during a stroke. And even though I could clearly see that the wolf face was a mask, something in its werewolf's convulsions made me freeze in place. The boy in a wolf's costume rubbed his side against the porch post and fell to his knees. He bent his back so hard that I expected his spine to crack. The beast's eyes shone, but he didn't attack. He kept crawling around and running on all fours. I shifted my feet, my mouth agape, trying to keep him in my line of sight. Something was trickling from the slit in the mask. Vicious drops fell to the wooden planks. Saliva. Some unknown force pushed me in the back, whispering to me to save myself. The fence was flashing by at the edge of my vision. I was running, in another direction this time, toward the toothy edge of the forest that smelled of pine. My heartbeat measured time. The wolf boy growled behind my back as if he forgot his human nature. My right leg got stuck in the snow-laden cavity. I yanked it out, cursing under my breath, and fell to the ground. Blistering snow prevented me from standing up, from propping myself against anything. But my unbound thirst for life helped me get out of that trap. Darkness was creeping closer, like the toxic fumes of burial pyres. I ran again, gasping for air that stung my throat. My hair swayed in the wind. I lost my head when I fell down, and my ears were now hot from the freezing cold, while most of my body was still sweaty. The field finally ended. After realizing that running into the forest wasn't the smartest decision I could make, I dove into the line of trees. I ran without stopping, my face covered with one of my palms. I didn't want to lose an eye to some random branch. Branches whipped my clothes, pricked my skin like butchers that were herding a pig into the grinder. A knot of roots, sprouting from the ground, grabbed at my foot. I rammed into the scratchy trunk, slid down to its base, and looked around in a panic. And here we go. Alisa. My first desire was to dash toward her and hug her. I resisted it and squeezed myself even tighter into the pine.
Что ты здесь делаешь?
Well, this time it makes less sense because he saw her luring away Olya, which turned out to be the owl, so it makes sense that she's here.
Да вот,
She was holding the hat I lost.
беру находок, подрабатываю.
I still love her sense of humor.
Надевай, а то уши замерзнут, а потом, глядишь, и вовсе отвалятся.
She giggled. I wonder if this time we're actually gonna get another clue that points out that Alisa is actually Polina. I squinted in suspicion and shifted my gaze back and forth between her and the hat, scared that Alisa might be holding a severed head or something even more sinister. But in the end, my head turned out to be just my head. Yeah, let's take it. I took it and pulled it over my forehead.
Тепло?
I didn't reply.
Там во дворе были какие-то дети.
Well, she was supposed to be one of them.
И что, покусали тебя, что ли?
Well, basically no, because it's Owl and the wolf. But he saw her as well.
Нет.
А чего же ты убежал?
The answer was obvious, but after rolling the thought on my tongue, I mumbled.
Не знаю.
Эх, обещала не обзывать тебя дурачком. А я обещание исполняю.
She walked up to me and grabbed me by the elbow. I sensed the familiar aroma of mint, oranges, and burnt sparkles. Okay, the aroma thing actually points out that Alisa is not Polina, because they have a different aroma, the way he smells them. I wanted to lean into Alisa to savor the minute details of her smell.
Сколько можно повторять? Со мной ты в безопасности. Я твой друг. И они.
I quickly turned around toward the place the fox girl was pointing to. Kids in masks appeared at the clearing. At least they looked like kids since they were all pretty short. A wolf boy, an owl girl, and a bear boy. They all huffed and gasped for air, clearly tired from running around.
Я думала, ты в снег провалился. Стало снег копать, нет тебя.
А я не копал, лень копать было. А ну как получается? Если дурак, то бегай да копай. А если умный, подожди, пока другие набегаются, накопаются и устанут. И уж тогда заводи разговор.
Как я рад! Дегенерат!
А?
Oh man. The same.
Не обращай внимания, он со странностями.
Yeah, definitely. Those freaking wolves. I stood there, stupefied, my mouth agape and my hands dangling helplessly. I had no idea how to react to the words of these late-night guests, but I managed to squeeze out something resembling a smile.
Вы просто меня напугали.
They started looking at each other, and somebody even snorted as if I said something funny.
Лесоправа!
Это он.
Нет, это наш!
Неужели нашли?
Наш зайчик.
Да-да, похож.
The wolf boy started wagging a part of his costume like it was his tail in excitement.
Ну, конечно, ты первый! Это волчик раньше всех почуял зайчика в тебе и рассказал нам.
I still need to see who was the first kid that talked to him. Before Alisa, if there was anyone.
Здравствуй.
С нашей совушкой ты знаком не понаслышке. Не такая уж она и страшная, правда?
Да, наверное.
А этот улыбчивый бугай — медвежутка. Ты лучше с ним поласковее, а то голову откусит.
Зачем это?
Да, смотрю, ты чувство юмора где-то обронил.
I was still unsure if these peculiar little animals had the best intentions in mind, so I hid my hands behind my back, trying to look away from the gaping holes of their carnival masks. Alisa put her hands to her sides in a theatrical manner and somehow managed to wink with her fox face.
Когда в следующий раз придем, будем звенеть в колокольчики, чтобы ты не так боялся нашего визита.
А у нас разве есть колокольчики?
Чур, я звенеть не буду.
Ah,
У
man.
меня лапка болит.
Well, I think it's actually Semyon. My smile was no longer fake.
О, зубы показал. Это добрый знак. Не ожидала, что сможем тебя рассмешить. Я думала, это под силу только Диснейленду.
This is still like the most serious clue that points out to Alisa equals Polina. But we still need to see
Откуда
that.
ты знаешь?
Да так, прочитала кое-где.
Про меня?
Про клюв от воробья. Про Диснейленд яхонтовый.
Ты умеешь читать по-человечески?
Зря я, что ли, в школу хожу день ото дня.
Yeah, and this also. And then she sang in a coquettish voice.
Как детей не замечать, как мечты их развенчать. Учат в школе, учат в школе, учат в школе. Крепко-накрепко вломить, с детства слабеньких чморить. Учат в школе, учат в школе, учат в школе.
Yeah, as I said on Alisa gameplay, this was like a well-known song for children. And they just changed words to something completely different. I let out a cautious laugh. My new acquaintances didn't seem scared anymore. On the contrary, they looked friendly and welcoming. There was something about them that attracted me. Just like this clearing, this moon, and the snowflakes that fell backwards from the ground to the sky as if someone was rewinding a tape. The masked kids got close and I felt their touch. They gave me friendly taps, felt my clothes as if checking whether I was real. There was no animalistic malice in their touch, only pure childish curiosity. For some reason, I thought to myself, okay, I wonder if we're actually gonna find out why the snow is going backwards. Yes, like going up. I can trust them. Snowflakes just kept on floating upwards. Yeah, upwards.
Никто тебя больше не обидит.
Драк. Пусть только попробуют.
The fox gave me a slight tug and burst out laughing.
Ну что, Тоша, убежишь с воплями или с нами пойдешь?
Куда?
На аттракционы!
At that moment, Taiga's deceptive silence was broken by the sound of a distant flute. Mesmerizing and alluring, it brought about the ring of crystal glass and the whispers of a fresh winter spring. If I had any doubts before, the flute's song shattered the last of them. I started following my new friends before I could even make my decision. My legs carried me of their own will, and the tunnels made of pine stepped apart. Bushes bowed in front of our procession. Everything looked dreamlike. Because even the clearing we ended up on, I only saw in my dream. The flute soared up in the treetops like some fantastical bird. The snowflakes floated up in a spiral. The moon painted 3 branches with silver. Elisa gasped in amazement. I was also naive. I tilted my head backwards as far as I could.
Красиво как.
I wonder if something is actually gonna be different.
Очень красиво.
Wolfie howled in agreement.
Это мелочи. Я покажу гораздо больше, если захочешь.
I did want. I wanted to see what the fox girl saw with her eyes, hidden in the semi-dark of her cape. Now I didn't feel weird about these masked kids. I felt weird for being the only one without a mask. I felt like I was naked in the January winds.
Скажите, а зачем вам маски?
I was trembling, but I wasn't scared. My trembling wasn't caused by the cold, it originated from the peculiar anxiousness, the anticipation of something
А
amazing.
тебе зачем?
I touched my cold cheek.
Но я без маски.
Обожаю человеческие сказки.
Человеческие ласки.
Человеческие дрязги.
Yeah, wordplay.
Я же говорила. Все жители поселка носят маски, только скрываются за ними отнюдь не люди.
И даже я?
Ты такой рассеянный, Антон.
Однажды мы уже нашли твои очки.
И шапку. И твое настоящее лицо.
Here we go. I looked at the mask the fox was holding out to me. The bunny mask that looked like a silver ingot under the moonlight. I was curious to see the world through its slits. Yeah, okay. Suddenly, fighting its way through the flute's melody, a thought came to me. The glasses they found were in Simeon's possession. My new acquaintances must have known what happened to him. Or even worse.
А куда подевался Семен? Что с ним стало? И с остальными детьми?
The bear and the owl looked at each other. The wolf boy curled into a ball and the fox lowered the pointy nose of her mask.
Кого держали в клетке.
Yeah, okay, that... So I think the forest master took him and the other kids, and Simeon actually dropped those glasses.
Тот, кто режет мелко-мелко. Тот, кто носит кожаное лицо, забрал их.
Skin face, I think this is important part.
Умел бы я креститься, перекрестился бы.
Хотите сказать, это был человек?
Чем ты только слушал? Разве можно назвать такого, как он, человеком?
Одно слово — взрослый.
В мире взрослых так легко потеряться.
I still think that's probably that man that we saw a couple of times before.
Убийцы, жестокие дрессировщики и равнодушные родители. Лучше об этом вовсе не думать, чтобы не грустить. Не знаю, как вам, а мне печалиться совсем не хочется.
И я сегодня какой-то негрустный. Антон, а ты?
I was lost in thought, staring at the pines, trying to pinpoint the location of the flute. I was sure that the person who played it was standing right behind the piney stockade. Someone tall, going over the holes in the flute with their long fingers.
Так что, сядем тосковать или займемся отдыхом?
Okay, this part is basically more or less the same, the only difference was the way he was lured out.
Алиса хотела что-то показать.
Давай начнем с самой сладкой части программы.
The fox girl took out a handful of candy from her pocket and handed them to each of the kids. Covers shuffled, the smell of pineapple, cocoa, and melon wafted through the air. The last treat, a chocolate-covered waffle candy. Lisa put right into my mouth. My tongue was engulfed in spiciness. I felt like my body was covered in fur and small sparks were running along it. I chewed on the waffle and the chocolate, gulped them down, enjoying the vivid taste.
Спасибо.
Okay, now here we go. My gratitude was barely audible because my lips were already touching the insides of a mask. I didn't even notice how I put it against my face. The papier-mâché was warm, the mask stuck to my skin, giving it a nice prickle. The kind when you dive into a hot bath after being outside in winter, when you lie there and purr from the soapy water.
Говорила же, это твое!
Мое.
Чего стоим? За нас веселиться никто не будет.
И то верно.
The melody kept swirling in the field like a hurricane. I couldn't wait to release the energy, the heat that this enchanting music was filling me with. The owl jumped and disappeared into the sky. I heard her laughter from somewhere above, and then she landed back, huffing and sighing.
И ты так можешь. Попробуй.
I followed suit. My feet tore off from the ground. I flew toward the stars like a rocket and screamed from happiness after seeing my friends down below. The wind helped me fly. It felt like I was jumping on a huge trampoline. Oh yeah, the creepy moon. The stars looked like vivid sparkles that I could reach and lick up. The moon also got closer, and then I plunged. I got scared that I'd break my legs for a moment, but my soles landed softly on the ground and I regained my balance.
С нами ты в безопасности. И все твои мечты станут явью. Я так счастлива наконец обрести тебя.
Bunny.
Зайчик!
In a fit of merry laughter, I realized the most important thing. These four are not a threat. My real enemies, and I felt that with every single hair on my mask, were those who knew nothing about magic. Humans from the village. Okay, I'm ready for the weird moon. I also realized how alive my surroundings have become. I heard the dry grass under the snow moan. I saw faces of the trees and the stars. The trees were smirking and the stars were grimacing in fear. That's right. Be scared. I'll jump up to you and... I snapped my teeth and then let out a jubilant laugh, jumping up along with the fox. We flew higher than the tallest pines and stayed in the air. I swirled. Elisa followed my rhythm. I knew that she was smiling, so I smiled too. And the flute just kept on playing, carrying us higher and higher.
Эй, тебя что, заколдовали?
Okay, so instead of Romka, it's actually Polina saying something. Hey, did someone put a spell on you? That someone is standing next to me, I thought, trying to unglue my chin from the desk. My muscles felt slightly sore, but that feeling was pleasant. The whole class was wandering about for some reason, whispering and passing notes to each other. Their faces looked like discolored masks to me, bleak and boring. I yawned, remembering the time I was soaring high above the forest with Alisa by my side, laughing and squeezing my hands. Perhaps, no, probably, it was all just a dream. Because I didn't walk back from the forest, just woke up in my bed on a normal morning with tea and medicine. Still, I was hardly worried about trying to find a rational explanation for my night dance. That feeling of flight was much more important. The knowledge of how it feels to be hanging in the air above the treetops of majestic pines and baring my teeth at the moon.
Прости, задумался.
Sorry, I got lost in thought.
Слышал уже про Катю?
Yeah, she disappears here as well. Makes sense. Have you heard about Katya?
А?
I glanced at the empty seat in front of me.
Катя пропала.
Katya went missing. My sleepiness was gone in an instant. I frowned in suspicion.
Как пропала? Быть не может.
And she's gone.
Катя!
Okay, so that's it for episode 3. Next time it's gonna be episode 4. Hopefully it will be released as soon as possible in a couple of months. So far, the story is interesting, so many theories. And, well, basically we didn't learn anything new from this part. It was kind of similar, except like the way he was lured out, and basically he was awakened by Polina instead of Romka. Well, so far it's awesome game. Hope you enjoyed. Take care and see you next time.